Today we have the lovely opportunity of coming to the Catoctin furnace. For those who haven't seen the Catoctin furnace, right in here in this little area was made all kinds of stuff from munitions to anything ironworks, and they supplied Yorktown, the most famous battle of the Revolutionary War, with some of its, or most of its supplies that came through. And so the girls have been invited to go through the event at the local Episcopal church. Pastor Sally, who helps with the food bank. And so let's go over here and look at this too. This is from the Civil War information. And we're going to hear all about it today as a family celebrating it. Pretty cool. Up on the hill there, you can see what's left of the ironmaster's house from the furnace itself. And there's the furnace, a better view. Beautiful. All right, so we're going to walk over here to the church. Harriet Chapel, named after the furnace owner's wife, was actually built because the furnace owner wanted, or his wife, Miss Harriet, wanted a place for them to come and worship God, the workers from the furnace. And so those workers from the furnace weren't able to go on Sundays anywhere. And pastors would come out and preach during the awakenings, and they'd have services and folks were accepting the Lord. And so she wanted a place where they could go. And so this is Pastor Sally's church, who helps with the food bank, or oversees the food bank. And it's just a great place. So we're going to go check this out.
Was put in. The graveyard was found nearby. After a bit of studying, they found out it was a very old graveyard, a Christian burial site. They were first and second generation Africans, likely associated with the furnace. Data derived from recent testing showing that the cemetery indeed held African Americans. According to the craniometrics found that the mortality was mostly between the ages of 10 to 19. This and other results will guide future DNA testing of the African American population of this area.
We just buried our good friend Emmitsburg right here where there are many good men, women, and children.
So many good men, women, and children. We marked the graves with clothes, so that's all we have to mark them with. Lost count of the graves.
It was amazing. Now enjoy some special treats from Miss Davis in the culinary department of Silver Oak Academy. Thank you.
They presented corn muffins and cobbler, which were the kinds of foods that they ate in those days. So everybody's getting to try the corn muffin and the peach cobbler. There's a corn muffin right there. Very good, made the same way as they used to be at the Catoctin furnace.
Why it's dilapidated and why do we take care of it? But in a land trade in the late 1800s, it was sold to a neighbor, and they grew up in it. They had lots of they had a couple different generations there, and then they just sort of moved out and left it. And they actually still live back here, but the house is and it's a very unique house. I would love to fix it up. On the other side of the church is what is left of a general store. It's also owned by that family, and it has also been allowed to go downhill, and it would be lovely to have a store, that we could use. So why don't we go into the church?
Two girls first. If you have them first, just have one
Just decorate the floor. Oh, girl, not only this. You heard about the Johnson brothers, but this church was not here at the time of the Johnson brothers. There are remains of a small chapel that was here at that time. This church was built by the Bryn or Brian, they call them how do you pronounce it, Brian? Brian, it's B-R-I-E-N, the Bryn family. And what happened was John Bryn married a young woman who lived in Frederick and went to All Saints Episcopal Church. He was close to 50 and she was 20 or 20 when they got married. And they had 8 children together.
And after their 8th child, she died. And one of the things that she had always wanted was for there to be a place, more permanent place for the people in this area to worship. Now, as you heard in the presentation, the people who were here were African American, they were enslaved and free, there were Irish immigrants. We still have lots of Sweeneys in our congregation who are descendants of the people who worked here. There were lots of German people who were, we still have lots of Claybaws, Carbaws, Harbaws, all kinds of German descent, all kinds of baws here. And they were here, and there was a community of workers. And if you look up and down the road, you see the little houses, and you think, oh, well, that wasn't a bad standard of living. Those houses were the houses of the supervisors. The workers themselves lived in much more humble places, more like shacks.
That's the general store that she was talking about during her presentation.
House across the way, and that house.
This is a log cabin.
Yep. So over here with
look
us.
how pretty that one is.
It is pretty. Come on, let's go. Inside the Collier's house. This is what it looks like. So I'm gonna go these stairs now. Wow.
Wow, guys. So who would have lived here?
Okay, the workers, this was owned by the furnace, so there was no private ownership. These were all houses owned, not what we think of as, having your own room and having your own space. That's a concept that we wouldn't necessarily.
Can't imagine renting half or a third of a bed.
Yes, and apparently that was very common. Everything. So, let me turn the light on. Won't that be helpful?
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. It's a great house.
Yeah.
It was restored in the 1980s.
Yeah.
It was purchased by the Historical Society and then restored.
Wow. Inside the Collier's house. Wow. Very cool. Oh, cool. Look at that. Wow.
A summary of some of the chapters in our history book, but that tell the story of the village over time and the people who lived here. And we have a big event called Traditional Village Christmas, and then we had events in January.
Okay, what did you guys think about our field trip today?
Awesome. We got prayer beads.
Yeah, from the chapel.
And I found a snail shell.
Ooh, let's see that. Ooh, yeah, you did. Hold on. Stay still. Cool. And then this is the casting shed. Does anyone remember the name of it? It's a girl's name.
Isabella?
Isabella. Good job.
I found it right there.
Oh, you silly girl. Do you have a Dorito stuck in your car seat strap?
Uh-oh.
Close your eyes. Good job. Go night-night.